Alright, so here's how to do the titles project. So first we're going to create a basic title, centered. Most of you guys should already be pretty good with that. Basic title with a color mat, lower thirds title, creative title, motion title, rolling title, crawling title. Guess I should have looked at this. I'm not quite sure what the creative title is, but let's go ahead and start here with basic title, centered. So I'm going to go ahead and use this picture of Mr. Mall for whatever reason. I don't know why it's in here, but apparently that's what we're using, so let's use it. Let's go ahead and download that. I'm going to go ahead and go into Premiere. I'm going to start a new project. I'm going to go ahead and call this project title project. Again, I'm going to choose a location. You always want to do this. So I'm going to go down here, choose location. This PC, go ahead and put it on my desktop. Intermediate video is a folder I got here. I'll create a new folder. I'm going to call this titles project. And we'll go ahead and open that up and select that folder. And go ahead and hit create. And my workplace looks a little weird, so I'm going to go up to Window, Workplace, and go to Reset to Saved Layout. There we go. Now it's looking normal. And then I need to go ahead and import that photo of Mr. Mall. And let's go ahead and see here. Downloads. There it is. Open. I'll be honest, I don't know what size this photo is. So I don't want to create my project from this photo. So what I'm going to do instead, I'm going to go ahead and go down here to the New Item button. And I'm going to go ahead and create a new sequence. And I'm going to go ahead and make it let's see, AVC HD 1080p 1080p 30. So I want to make sure I'm creating a project that is the size that I want it in the end. So AVC HD 1080p 30 is what we want to work with. I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And I'll go ahead and drag Mr. Mall over here to have something to work with. And it looks like he was a 1080p photo, so that was good. If he wasn't, right, remember we can always right click on it, say set to frame size, and that'll adjust it so it'll fit the size of the image. So I'm going to go ahead and drag this out. So I got plenty of footage here to work with. It's probably way too much. It's like 5 minutes, but whatever. All right, so we'll start off here with a basic title. So how can we create a basic title? Let's see, first thing we could do, well, first real easy way to do it, right, is right down here is the type tool. And I could literally just click on that and click up here. And it went ahead and created a new layer right here for me. That is the title layer. And I can go ahead and create a title. Look at this. This is Mr. Mall, and he's wearing a Lincoln High School shirt, not a 12 Bridges High School shirt. And he doesn't work at either school anymore. So 12 Bridges High School. But the problem with this and the layout that I'm in right now, right, I don't have a whole lot of options to make changes. Like I can't change the color of the font. I could go back to the move tool. I could move it around, change the size. But if I want to get to my options, I'm actually going to go up to my window, and I'm going to go ahead and switch my workspace. So window, workspace, I'm going to go ahead and go to titles. Don't have. Oh, here it is. Sorry, they call it captions and graphics. So I'm going to go ahead and go to captions and graphics. That'll actually pull up my essential graphics panel over here on the right, so that I can go into edit, and I could go ahead, and if I want to, I can go ahead and change the color of this font here. Maybe I want to change it to a different color. So I'm going to go ahead and actually grab this color picker right here. And I can actually grab something like, if I wanted to grab the blue out of a shirt or the yellow out of a shirt, I could. Right? Of course, that's not going to work super well because his shirt's blue. We're putting it on blue, right? So maybe I want to grab this orange color from the background here. Hit OK. We can also add a shadow, right? And when we turn the shadow on, now we have all the options for our shadow. We can change the direction. Change how far away from the background, from the text it is, how blurred out it is. We can change the color of it. So maybe I want it to have a white shadow. All right. We can also add a stroke. That would be an outline background. So anyhow, there's a basic centered title. All right, now let's see what we're doing next. All right, basic title with a color mat. All right, so we've already gone ahead and put in our title here. Now let's say I want to add a color mat. So I'm going to go back here to my titles. We're going to go to edit, and here we have our layers. So we could come up here to a rectangle tool if we wanted to, or you can hit the new layer button over here. Same thing, add a rectangle. So we'll go ahead and actually, you know what? I don't think that's what he's asking. Actually, let's not do that. So I think what he's asking for is, so this is a title on an overlay. What happens if I want a title on a colored background? So what I could do here is let me go ahead and go to my cut tool, and I can go ahead and cut this right here and cut that right there and make a little bit of space here to put in the next title. All right, so I got that title there. First title, overlay, Mr. Mall. And now we got this blank space. So in this blank space, we want to go ahead and just have like maybe a blue screen and a title. So I'll go down here to my new item button in my project window. So again, this is the project window down here, bottom left-hand corner. This is where we brought in our photos and our video files. I'm going to go ahead and click on New and Color Mat. Now we want it to match our project, so we just hit OK. That should be all right. So now let's say we're doing 12 bridges and we are green. So we go over here, pick a nice green color and hit OK. And we'll go ahead and call this green mat. All right, hit OK. And here we go. Now we have a video file, which is basically just a green mat. So if I pull it up here to my source window, we see it's just a green screen. All right, so I can go ahead and drag this green screen over to my project here. It looks like it doesn't quite fit, so I'll put it up here to start, shrink it down, then I'll throw it in my spot. So now it goes from there to a green screen, and now I could go ahead and put a title on top of that. So again, I'll just go ahead to my text tool, or again, in the in the graphics layout that we're in right here, captions and graphics, we go over to the new layer button and say new layer text, and we can go ahead and change this to, again, say, highlight it here, say 12 bridges. High school. All right. And again, I'm going to change the font this time to white. And the shadow, I'm going to go back to kind of that gray shadow that we had before. That looks real good. And there we go. Oh, and let me get it lined up here with my color mat. And let's see. Looks like it runs a little bit over the end, so I'll go ahead and put it there. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and center it on the screen. So one of the things I can do to make sure it's centered is over here on the right-hand side, I have these align options. So I can go ahead and center it horizontally. I should probably do that to this one too. So let me go on that one. You notice how I had to click here on the timeline to switch between my fonts. So if I'm on this text, right? But I have my play cursor over the top of this text, it's not going to act the way that I want it to, right? So if I click on the move tool, click on it. Oh, see, it actually switched over to this one for us, but let's go back over here. Let's just say that we had this selected, right? And I scroll my thing over here and I go like center it this way. I go, it didn't do anything. Well, that was because I had this other clip selected, right? And look, it did move that text. So you got to make sure anytime you do anything that you know what you have selected, what you have targeted. So in this case, I had the text, this text box targeted, and so it moved that font where I wanted it to, that text. So if I go here, right, I want to make sure I'm targeting this text on this layer, and I could go ahead and center it. It looks like I was a little bit off center there, so center it, and I can move it up here, maybe a little bit there, and then center it. All right. So there we go. We got a center title. Now we have a title on a color mat. Now let's see what else. What other kind of titles could we do? So a lower thirds title. So lower thirds, typically, in fact, we even have some pre-created titles in here. So if I go to browse here, I bet you I could find a lower thirds title. So lower thirds just kind of means the title shows up in the lower thirds of your image here. So I could take this pre-built one and drop it in here, and you would see, right, your name here. Second line is smaller. And then I could go into edit, right, and I could edit what these actually say. Right, take my text tool, highlight it, change it to say Mr. Mall. Now these are fun. These are pre-animated, usually. I guess this one is not animated, but some of them here in the browse thing, right, they have animations and credits and all sorts of stuff that you can play around with. But we want to go ahead and create our own. So I'm going to go ahead and just delete this layer, and we'll go ahead and create new text. And we'll go ahead and move it down to the lower thirds, and we'll say Mr. Mall. All right. But again, as you noticed, right, this is really having a hard time standing out from the background, so I'll put it down here in the lower thirds. So this is what I started to go into with the last one. I want to go ahead and add a background. So I'm going to go ahead and add another layer, and I'm going to add a rectangle. All right. I'm going to move that rectangle down here and adjust it. I'm actually going to have it come off the side of the screen, maybe go like that. Now again, you got to pay attention to our layers. This is just like Photoshop. If you took Intro to Media Arts or MediaCom, right? What's on top of what? Right now my shape is on top of Mr. Mall. So I need to go ahead and move Mr. Mall, the text, up on top of my shape. And then I can go ahead and change my shape to what I want it to be. So I'm going to go ahead and change the color. Again, go with that rhino green color here. And then maybe I'm going to go ahead and give my text a drop shadow. Oh, oops, that was not my text, right? I had my square rectangle selected, so it gave a drop shadow to that. So instead, let's go up here, Mr. Mall. I want to put a drop shadow there. Ooh, how come it is so big? Let's see if we shrink it down. There we go. Or no, that's transparency. Oh, that's a background. Sorry. We wanted a shadow. There we go. That looks a lot better. All right, Mr. Mall. Let's see what else can we do to it. Oh, it's this one. We could, the fill. We could also change the fill to a gradient, right? Sometimes that is really good. In fact, what's really fun to do is here with the gradient is to go transparent. So let's see, opacity. So we can take the opacity down to 0, right? And then over here we can take this opacity is at 100%, and this color, we'll go back to our green color here that we had before. And we'll move the fade point back further. Nope, that doesn't seem to be making a difference. We could move the green. How about we move that this way? How's that look? Nope. So let's move this. Let's just make this bigger. There we go. Just those points over here. So that way it kind of looks like it fades, comes off the side of the screen there, faded. Right, so that's a cool, nice little lower thirds title with a background. We had a little bit of transparency there and a fade with our text box. So I hope to see that on yours. So lower thirds title, that is one you guys can try out. Let's see, what else do we got? Oops, that was the wrong tab. So next it says creative title. So I'm not quite sure what a creative title is. So I'll go ahead and let you guys, just for this one, I'll double check with Matt, see if I'm missing something, Mr. Toft. But why don't you guys try for this one, why don't you just throw in one of these pre-built titles, play around with them, see what you think. So let me throw in this coming up next. And we'll go in here and just go ahead and change the, how about we change the background? I'm going to go ahead and change the fill. I'm going to change this stop to green. Again, so it matches more of our Rhino colors. And maybe I'm going to change the text to say, next on Crash TV. Alright, don't want to put text there, so I'll go ahead and delete that text box maybe. There it goes. Alright. Let's see, so we got a lower centered title, we got a title with a matted backgrounds, now we got a lower thirds title here with a shape in the backgrounds. Then we went ahead and threw in a custom title, or not a custom title, a pre-built title from the browser, so a template. You can also save any of your titles to a template. So like this one here, I went ahead and created the Mr. Mall title. If I wanted to save that, I could always click on it. I'm going to right click on it. I think, no, right click on it over here. There we go. No, maybe that's not it. New layer, create a group. Graphics and title. Oh, you know what? If we go to browse, and down here at the bottom, no, that's not it either. Well, what do you know? I cannot remember at the moment where it is that we saved this. If we went, oh, it's File, Export, Motions, Graphics Template. There we go. That's where it is. So, so again, remember, everything's very specific about what you have selected. So down here, I had just this clip selected. So when I go up to File and I go down to Export, I have this option of exporting a motion graphics template. All right, because I have that graphic selected. So I go ahead and save that. And I could call this my TBHS lower thirds title. Hit OK. And now when I go to browse here for templates, if I search for TBHS, there's that title, and I can drag that in anywhere on my project now anytime I need it. So that's pretty useful. So that's kind of how you use templates. All right, so next up, we're going to talk about a motion title. So how can we create some motion to our title? So I'm just going to take this title I already created with the lower thirds title, and I'm going to add some motion to it. So this is where we get into animation. So this is a bit more complicated than just basic titles. So here we go. So we're going to go up here to effects controls. So this is, we're going to start adding effects to it. So I'm going to select the title, effects, and if you guys remember from MediaCom, anytime we want to animate something, right, we come up here to our effects controls and we go ahead and select what we want to add an effect to. So I could go up here to motion, and if I want to change the scale and the position of something, let's say I want to change the scale and position of the title here, Mr. Mall, so I'm going to make sure I have that selected. So actually, I'm in the wrong spot. I want to hear right here, this eyeball is my Mr. Mall text, right? So I actually want to hit the little caret on that one and open that one up. And in here is where we can start to add some animation. So those settings don't matter. So I'm going to close that up. That's all the settings like the color, So we can even have it change colors, right? I could go ahead and animate that, believe it or not. So if I turn on the animation for that, and I can go from this set point, so when I turn that on, right, it set a keyframe. So at that keyframe, my color is going to be white, and then if I go here, I could change my color to red, right? And I just animated the color of my font. Except for it didn't transition very smoothly, so I guess it doesn't animate that fancy. Which is interesting. I would have thought that it would have translated that, but anyhow, apparently it doesn't slowly translate color, so oh well. But yeah, you could animate some of this stuff, but you're probably not going to. What we're probably going to animate, right, is I'm going to turn that off. And we're really going to focus over here in the transform option. So transform, we'll open that up, and we have scale and position, right? So this is where we can actually make our text and our background fly in. So, so maybe I'll start here at the beginning of my title, and I'll turn on the animations. That's a little stopwatch for position. Actually, I'm going to do this in reverse. So I already have it where I want it to be when it ends. So somewhere about in here, this is where I want everything to be. So I'm going to go ahead and on my shape and my Mr. Mall, I'm going to go ahead and turn those animations on so it set those keyframes where I want it to end. Right, so that's what these little diamonds say. At this point in my video, I want my image to look like this. All right, I'm going to go ahead and move backwards. And here at the beginning of my clip, I want to go ahead and move Mr. Mall off the page. And that went ahead and set a keyframe there for Mr. Mall. And let's just say, just real simple transition. I'm going to go ahead and move the shape off the screen. So let's see how that looks. Oh, yeah, it did that. All right. And we'll go ahead and hit play. And there we go. Now we could have these come in separately. So maybe I want Mr. Mall to come in after the shape comes in. So the shape comes in, and then Mr. Mall flies in, right? So we can animate it in a lot of different ways. You could also have it, maybe I want the shape to fly in, and let's just go ahead and change this. Instead of Mr. Mall flying in, maybe I'm going to have Mr. Mall start at 0%, and it's going to grow up like that till it's full size, right? So that time I changed the scale. So at the end it scales at 100%, and at the beginning scale was at 0. So right, the text got bigger as it came in. So that's how you can start to go in and animate and get much more in depth with your graphics, make them much more interesting. So right, why would you use this? So how about credits, right? So maybe we want to create some credits. So there's actually, I believe back over here, text options here. Captions. So there's actually some options, some cool stuff where you can transcribe. So if you want to make closed captions or titles at the bottom, right, you can actually have it transcribe automatically what people are saying. You can also create a new captions track. So that's all cool stuff that's been added recently. But let's go ahead and let's see what's next. I believe motion title. Oh, now we're going to create a rolling title. Rolling title. So I believe that means it's going to okay, so it's going to roll from the bottom to the top. So that's what we mean by rolling title. That's what I thought. Okay. Just had to double check. All right, so rolling title. So let's go ahead and create that. So here we go. We're on our image here, and we could look in templates. I think there might already be a template for this actually, but we could create it ourselves too, however we want. No, I don't see a template for it, so never mind. All right, so let's go ahead and create some rolling titles. Probably the easiest way to do this, if we were going to create rolling titles, would be to first get all our text created maybe in a different, like, in a Google Doc or something like that. So we have it all kind of edited and spell checked and everything first. So let's just say, let's pull up a Google Doc here, right? And this just for fun, I'm going to use a resume here because it has a bunch of text on it, right? So we'll pretend this is our credits and see we have it all written out and ready to go. So then I'd go over to Premiere. I'd go ahead and create a new title, right? So let me go here, click off of that existing title into this blank space here, create a new text box. And, oh, it actually says from file. What would be from file? Supported media. Yeah, I don't know what that is. Oh, that would be, oh, no, I know what that is. That's if we wanted to add a picture. So that's another thing that we can do. But for now, let's just go ahead and create a new title. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to my document. I'm going to select it all. So Control A on a PC, hit copy. I'll go back over to Premiere Pro and hit Control V and paste. And of course, it doesn't keep all the formatting. So again, if I was going to create it, I want to make sure I have it all. I just use basic formatting, not all that color and stuff. Ooh, and it looks like it overran some stuff. So let's see. So I'd probably have to go in here and like put in some enters and stuff. So that was probably not the best example. Anyhow, we create our titles. Let me go ahead and I want to center my text too because we want it to scroll in the center. Right, and then basically what we'd do is we'd animate that again. So this probably, because we have a lot of text, we probably want to make it a bit longer than it was. We'll go back to our effects controls. We'll go down here and we'll, again, open this up. Turn on my animation for position, and we'll go ahead and starting position. We want to go ahead and make that all the way down here at the bottom. Right. And actually we want to make sure it's centered here, so we'll go ahead and horizontally center it. And then we want to go ahead and, oops, that is the wrong one. And then we're going to go ahead and scroll up. So I could just go over here to this number, and I could just go ahead and click on it, and ooh, click on it, and I'm scrolling to the left. And see, oh, except for I didn't change my position. So here I am at the beginning of the text, right? And when I get to the end of the text, I want to be at the top. So I'm going to go ahead and click here and scroll to the left. And I was apparently off the title, so that wasn't the best spot for the keyframe. So let's move it back here a little bit so we can see it. I'm going to click this little arrow so I end up right on the text. So anyhow, they're on the end point. So scrolling to the left, click and scrolling to the left. As you can see now, that is scrolling on up, so we'll keep going. And we want to scroll all the way off the screen, so we'll just keep going. There we go. All right, now I can go back and we'll play and we'll see how fast or how slow that went. Ooh, that's a little bit too fast. So I'm going to go ahead and make my clip longer and go ahead and drag my keyframe out longer. And let's see how that looks. That still looks a little bit fast, right? So I'm going to go ahead and drag it out even a little bit longer and click and drag that keyframe out longer. And let's see how it scrolls now. That's looking a little bit better. Hopefully it'll play back smoother once we render it. All right, not bad. There we go. There we got some text scrolling up through the screen. All right. Lastly, let's have some text scroll across the screen. Actually, not lastly, because I want to go back and show you guys how to add an image. So on the lower third style, we probably should add an image. So we'll do that here in a second too. A little bonus thing. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and add a new text box. So pretty simple. Same thing like we made a scrolling title. We'll just go ahead and create a new text box. So for this time, we're just going to let our text go on forever. So let me go ahead and just go some filler text. All right, so I went ahead and got some filler text off the internet, and I'll go ahead and paste it in here. There we go. It goes on forever. All right, I'll go ahead and move it to where I want it to be down here. Right, so you'd see this like maybe on a news show. You'd have text that was scrolling across the bottom of the screen. So we want to go ahead and start the text over here off the screen. And then again, we'll go ahead and turn on animation. Again, really position is what we're focused on this time, position. And we're going to take this first number and we're going to scroll to the right, it looks like. No, to the left. No, maybe the second number. Where'd my text go? Where's that? I lost it. Lost my text. Let's start over then. Let's create a new text box again. All right. Paste my text in here. There we go. So again, we're going to go ahead and animate it. Position. All right. Well, we want to go ahead and start it. There we go. It is that number. So I'm scrolling to the right. It's moving it to the right. So we'll start there, and then we're going to go ahead and go to like the end of our video, and then we're going to scroll to the left. There it goes. And keep scrolling until I get all the way to the end of my text, right? Again, I'm doing this so that it doesn't move up and down. We don't want it to move up and down. We want it to stay in the same spot and just move left to right. Wow, there's a lot of text, right? So again, I'd go back and play it and see that's moving so fast, right? We can't read it. So if we want to slow it down, we got to make the clip longer and then make the animation longer. There we go. That's pretty readable. Another thing that'll help make this readable, right, is probably to go ahead and just add another rectangle in there. Get to my move tool here. And with this rectangle, right, we just kind of spread it out here, put it underneath our text. Maybe we take the fill color and, oops, let's see, can we, oh, right here, fill color. And we'll just go ahead and take the transparency, turn it down, and now when it plays, there we go. All right, so last thing I wanted to show you, which we forgot, was on the little animated text here. Let's go ahead and add a picture. Now, I don't have any pictures really downloaded, so you could download a picture, but if we go down here from File, I'm just going to have to use the same picture of Mr. Mall. Go ahead and open it up. And, oh, it's the same size as the image, so let's just go ahead and click on it. No, that's that. It didn't add my from. Let's try that again. From File, Mr. Mall. There we go. So there it is. It's on the top layer here, right? So I'm going to go ahead and shrink it down. And right, if I wanted to on a lower thirds title, right? I could bring this over here and incorporate this into the title somehow, right? It'll work a lot better if I had like the Rhino icon or something like that. Let's see if we can get a Rhino icon, the 12 Bridges icon. Images. Not that one. Let's see. Oh, it's RHINO, right? I knew that. Here we go. Here's the Rhino icon. So let me just go ahead. No, that's not the one I want. That one's low quality. Well, that's a bummer. Here we go. This is what I want. I want that guy, right? So I'm going to go ahead and click Save Image As. Get that downloaded here. Let's throw that in here. That'll work better. All right, so let's go ahead and add. And from File, our little Rhino mascot here. Right, so there he is. And then we can move him over. And we can animate him too, just like anything else. Move the center point. That's annoying. There we go. Right, so we can have him come in there, right? So same thing, we probably want to go ahead and animate him. So he is going to be that clip. So maybe we just want to, we'll animate the opacity. That'll be good fun. So opacity here, we'll go ahead and we want 100% opacity there, and here we want 0% opacity. And now when we watch that little animation, right, Mr. Mole flies up, that flies into the right, and then the Rhino fades in. All right, hopefully that was lots of fun with titles. All right, have fun. We'll see you soon.